Welcome one and all to the troubled land of Arnor, located in the north of Middle-earth. Today we're going to be visiting the Barrow Downs at the heart of Cardolan, one of the 3 successor kingdoms of Arnor when it was partitioned during the Third Age. Today I've got a 2v2v2v2 battle for you with some pretty interesting rules, and this is of course going to be done on the Barrow Downs map, a new map in 0.96. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and let's take a look at the army comps, and then we can get into the replay itself. I hope you guys enjoy it. Now, before we take a look at the army comps, as I mentioned, there are a few rules to this battle which make it pretty unique. Now, I believe Kuro Goro-chan is in this battle, and he is behind these rules, and let's go into them. So each team has a team leader and a secondary general. So just think of them as a primary leader and then sort of an underling. And if the primary general falls, that team is destroyed. The first team to destroy 2 primary generals is going to be the winner. So this is not a last stand kind of battle where you're going to be fighting to the finish. It's really a race to see who can cap the most generals in the shortest period of time. So let's take a look at the army comps finally. We have the first army here is the army of Isengard, being commanded by Hida Alexa, who actually sent me this replay, so a big thank you to her for supporting the channel. Very much appreciated. And she's got a couple units of the Uruk-hai archers here, I believe 2 units of them. Also got some Uruk-hai pikemen who have some new helmet variants in this in 0.96 hotfix. You can see the little white hand there on their helmets, and I think if you upgrade them, they get a new model, which I believe the Uruk-hai infantry are using in this battle. So let's go ahead and check them out. Also got some Isengard crossbows here, who now have a different helmet, which is, I believe, the helmet that they use in the Peter Jackson trilogy, which is really cool to see. Behind them, we have the upgraded Uruk-hai infantry, which have this model here, which is very similar to the Champions of the White Hand and the old, like, I think it was like the shielded Nazgai unit, which I liked the way they looked before. I think this model is a little bit out of place for a line infantry unit. But in any case, there it is. Got some Uruk-hai infantry. 2, I believe, units of Uruk-hai infantry who are being backed up with some Uruk-hai raiders, who I think this is their armor upgrade, but when they are unupgraded, they look kind of like these Uruk-hai raiders in the back here, which is they're a little bit different. I like this kind of dark leather BDSM look that they have going on for them. But yeah, another couple units here of the Uruk-hai raiders, 1 unit of the guards of the Orthanc, who have really strong anti-cavalry bonuses, and they have a strong inspire bonus as well, as spear bodyguards tend to do. So yeah, very useful for keeping some of these, say, the Uruk-hai raiders in the fight for an extended period. For example, a unit here of the half-orc spear guards. As I said, 2 units of these Isengard crossbows, and then of course the Isengard wargs, who look a little bit different to the Misty Mountain counterparts. Their wargs are different colors, and their riders are different as well. I believe these riders have been around since the middle of the Third Age, but they just look so good you can't get rid of them. And yeah, 2 units here of the Warg riders, and 1 unit of Champions of the White Hand. And I think that does it for her army, unless she's got some hidden forces in there, but I'm sure we'll see them revealed a little bit later in the game. And her teammate is going to be Krantis, and he's going to be playing as the Orcs of the Misty Mountains. A really, really strong faction combination here. Isengard has some pretty decent infantry, and the Orcs of the Misty Mountains have numbers and some other nice tools at their disposal as well. But in any case, Krantis bringing heavy goblin spears. I believe 1, 2, 3, 4 units of heavy goblin spears. A couple units here of the heavy goblin archers. 2 units of the Black Uruks of the Mountain. What do you know? 3 units of Black Uruks of the Mountain. He actually went over the red limit on these guys. Bogus champions. Unit there of cave trolls. Some heavy gombo infantry. And he's got his own warg riders as well, to the tune of 2 units of warg riders. So this is a really strong infantry force here. Those Black Uruks of the Mountain are absolutely not to be underestimated. And a really strong contingent of wargs as well. 6 wargs in the battlefield. That's a nightmare for any cavalry factions. Moving on now to the what we call them, the second team. I guess they're the second team in terms of order. This is CF Zalexis playing as Gondor. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 units of Gondor infantry. Some veterans of Osgiliath, who are an Inspire unit and also very tanky. A couple units here of the Gondor archers. Citadel Guard, who are a little bit cheaper in the 0.96 hotfix, and they're still AP, so very deadly unit. Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard. A couple units here of the Fountain Guard, who do not have their spear wall currently, but they are AP spears, so very deadly. And Nimlothian Honor Guard, which is previously the Shielded Fountain Guard. And yeah, these guys are as good as they ever used to be. AP spears, HP, very, very tanky indeed. And I feel like there's probably some hidden rangers up here somewhere. This seems like a pretty small Gondorian force. Like, yeah, I feel like there's probably some more units in there. Oh yeah, got some cavalry. 2 units here of the Penithgalen cavalry, who are decent lancers, but no match for the wargs that they are very, very close to, so that's a bit scary for the Gondor player. Moving on to, I believe this is his ally. This is Kuroguro-chan, who's going to be the captain for her team, like Hidalexa is the captain for hers. And Kuroguro-chan is captain for his team, I should say. He's got some mercenary cavalry, some Greenwatch garrison footmen, a lot of the cheaper pike units here, and he's going to be backing them up with Minas Garithlin swordsmen and some Hearthguard of Amansul. He's also got some Minas Garithlin sharpshooters, some Tharbad warhammers, second company there of the Minas Garithlin. Is it Minas Garithlin? Yes, Minas Garithlin sharpshooters, and a company of Minotaur Roman guardians. So a lot of really deadly close range units here, and I think he's got some Dunedain captains as well. And ooh, they have the upgrade on them as well, which I don't think a lot of you have seen. So yeah, they now when you upgrade them, they get a breastplate, and they've got a little bit higher armor stats than what they previously had to represent that. Over here, more mercenary cavalry and some Tharbad riders, who are a cheaper 820 charge unit, which is normally reserved for units like knights, but these guys are a bit cheaper, but they don't have HP, and yeah, just generally a little bit more squishy. So yeah, very deadly unit. It can be very cost effective if you can get it to work for you very nicely. And I think that's it for Kuro's army, unless he's got something hidden over here. Oh, what do you know? He's got some. Are there some hidden units here? I thought I saw some Garithlin spearmen. Maybe it's just these guys. And you might have some Dunedain Rangers hidden in there as well. But anyway, let's move on to the next team. And we have the Dwarves of Erebor being played by Solomon, who's also his team leader. So he has to protect his general at all costs. And he's brought some Ironfoot Spears. 1, 2, 3 Ironfoot Spears. A couple units of Ironfoot Axe Throwers to back them up. 1 unit of Highborn of Erebor. Pardon me, guys. Who are awesome. Actually, this is a really strong General's Bodyguard unit, and they inspire, as you'd expect from a general, and I think they get a little bit extra inspiration from the fact that the general is in there as well. A couple units here of the Erebor Legionaries, who I think are going to be getting a nice little buff in the upcoming very tiny hotfix. I've mentioned that in a video on the official channel. And yes, there will be a small stat-based hotfix, but I know that's irritating for some people, but I think it's better than us just leaving imbalances in the game for another 8 to 10 months. So yeah, a little thing like that is, yeah, it's a bit of an inconvenience, but it's also ultimately for the greater good. A couple units here, Mercenary Cavalry. Man, Solomon's got a lot of numbers here too. More Ironfoot Spears. There are 2 companies of Ironfoot Spears. Ironfoot Crossbows, and they're going to be backed up with some X-Men of Erebor. And another company here of the Erebor Legionaries. Let's see. What else? Got a Khazad-dûm player here, Frisch Juice. And he's got some Warriors of Khazad-dûm, 2 companies right there. Some 4th Legion, a couple units of 4th Legion there. 3 units of Orc Hunters of Khazad-dûm. 1 unit of 1st Legion Pikes. A bunch of 2nd Legion Axguard, not Asgard, that's a little bit strange. Slightly obscene. 3rd Legion Infantry, another unit of Warriors of Khazad-dûm. Khazad-dûm Reclaimers, and some Guardians of Khazad-dûm as well. And I think that's it for the 2 Dwarven players. So they're going to be on a team together, which is really appropriate. And let's move on now to the final team. This is the 4th and final team. We have the Realm of Mirkwood being commanded by DF Leister, who actually, if you guys are interested, there's another channel that's being run by, I believe, some friends of his. And there's a really cool battle that I helped commentate that's going to be going up on there pretty soon. Really close, and on a new map that you guys haven't seen before, so definitely worth taking a look at. I'm going to put a link to their channel down in the description. You guys will be able to subscribe to them and watch it when it comes out eventually. But in any case, Mirkwood. He's got 1 unit of Rekben Yaman Lank, which I think is pronounced correctly. He's also got a unit of Yar Abrenan Inanveth, which is a General's Bodyguard unit, which actually has Thranduil. Check it out. Thranduil with his double swords in him, using them like he does in the movies, which is pretty damn cool. Got some Hiri Auth, which I believe is Masters of War. Some Megel I Erin, which I can't remember what that means. Some Thandrem I Erin. Hir I Ek, which is looks like Spear Masters or something like that. 2 companies of them right there. Another unit of Megel I Erin. Another unit of Hiri Auth. 1 unit of Dagnirim. Oh, pardon me, I'm a little bit sick, guys. Dagnirim Iorch I Erin. And I think it's just 1 company of them right there. That's just about it for the Mirkwood army. Although they they've probably got some hidden Hethely Tower and some other archers and things like that hidden in their second line. So I would expect between 3 companies of the hidden archers and 2 to 3 companies of the Hethely Tower, which I would be surprised if they did not have. Over here we have the second Elven player. This is CF Josh, who is the commander for his team. And he's got some Wardens of Harlandon, 2 units of Wardens of Harlandon, who are actually a really useful unit. The Mithlin Lancers are the kind of mid-tier Lancer unit for Lindon. But these guys are no longer Lancers in the sense that they have an AP charge. They have a decent charge, but they are bowmen, but also spear cavalry. So useful for dealing with mounted enemies. Not like a super hard counter to all mounted enemies in the same sense that melee cavalry tend to be. But these guys are definitely very, very useful, can hold their own against other cavalrymen. CF Josh bringing some Harlandon infantry, some Harlandon guard, 2 units here of Harlandon guard, some Forlandon archers, more Harlandon infantry, and is going to be backing them up with some Forlandon pikemen. So pretty standard kind of composition there. He's also got some Mithlond sword masters, and I think... Nope, never mind, he doesn't have the Mithlond pikemen, but he does have some Mithlond sword masters he's mixed in there. 2 companies of them. Forlandon pikemen, more Harlandon infantry, and some hidden rangers in the back there, some Wardens of Alastirian, and finally... Noldor Horse Lords, who are a nice knight pick. So this is a very strong army against both infantry and against cavalry as well. Although I don't think he's got any javelins, which is a little bit surprising. I think instead of javelins, he brought the 2 companies of Mithlond Swordsmen to give him a little bit more of an infantry edge. So no mid-range skirmish here from this Lindon army, which is surprising. But a fair amount of infantry and some really nice anti-cavalry and some solid archers as well. But I think it does it for the army comps. Let's go ahead and get to the replay. Hope you guys enjoy it. The battle is going to begin with some serious aggression here on the part of Kuro's team. You can see some mercenary cavalry here moving forward, along with some Tharbad riders. And it looks like some Gondor cavalry has moved up in support of them as well. And I think they're going to be picking off some of the more slower-moving units of the Misty Mountains kind of supply train here. There are some wargs nearby, a fair amount of warg riders here from Hexalita, or Hedalexa. And the Misty Mountains contingent is nearby as well. So if they decide to commit to that, I mean, this could be a big problem for them. There's Goblin Spears nearby as well, heavy Goblin Infantry, and I think this unit here, yes indeed, they are Halberds. So, I don't think Kuro-Chan is going to commit into the Halberds. I think maybe he's going to try and maybe go after some of the Goblin Infantry and things like that, but I don't know. Ultimately, this does seem like a potentially very costly assault that is definitely in favor of the Misty Mountains, so it'll be interesting to see exactly what this team has planned currently. It may be just to kind of use some of the cavalry to draw off the wargs, keep their attention in one place, but it doesn't look like Hedalexa is going to be one to fall for that. So you can see that those 2 companies of warg riders have both split up, one to try and cut off any more avenues of movement for the Pentagalian cavalry and Kuro's mercenaries and things like that, and the other one is moving in to try and protect some of the more vulnerable units. Misty Mountains now moving in as well. It's a nice little kind of net here of wargs, and that is going to drive back the Gondorian and the Cardolan cavalry. Let's see what's going on over here. Looks like the Elven teams are more than content to kind of fall back to a defensive position. I don't think maybe they want to take the Dwarves on in close combat right away. Now, the Dwarves have definitely offered them an engagement. Orc Hunters of Khazad-dûm up here, backing up a lot of 4th Legion and I think some 2nd Legion and Sons of the Fallen as well. And yeah, but they're up on a hill, so this is not exactly the ideal engagement, I would say, for the Elves of Lindon. And of course, it does potentially expose their rear to opportunistic attacks from, say, the Gondorians. So it would make a little bit more sense to try and put one of these mounds here in between them and maybe try and use the terrain to shield their back a little bit. But that may not be a concern for the Mirkwood player. And look at this, they do have some hidden units. So a unit here of the Delapengi Amenduer, which is a ranger unit. Also got some Hethely Tower, just like I thought there would be. Unit here of the Aradireth Amon-Lank, which is like High Guard or King's Guard of Amon-Lank, or something like that. And some Thyrni Tower as well. So a lot of archers on the field for the Mirkwood forces, which is what you'd expect from Mirkwood, but also not necessarily a great engagement for them, given how many dwarven factions are raiding against them. There's a lot of really heavily armored and shielded foes here. So say that their bows are going to be fairly limited use, but it seems like maybe there's another fight brewing over here between Kuro's forces and Kuro's team, I should say, and Hedalexa's team. Looks like maybe they wanted to get the Misty Mountains to turn around in this kind of area and prevent them from going up this hill, say, for example, and then the Gondorians having to fight their way uphill against a very numerous and very, very deadly foe. So that could be the purpose of bringing all the cavalry out here like this, just to try and get the Misty Mountains and their ally Isengard to turn at bay and fight them on ground that's a little bit less disfavorable for Kuro's team, which is a solid strategy, I think. Misty Mountains scrambling to get their forces into position. It looks like they're going to be the front line, and Alexa is going to be playing as support. Let's see if Gondor had any other hidden units that we didn't see. Yes, indeed, they had some Mathilian Rangers, a lot of AP Spears. I think they had 2 units of Citadel Guard, rather. Yeah, 1, 2, one on either wing. That's going to leave a fair amount of elite units for them to support their center with. I wonder if Kuro had anything hidden. Let's take a look. What do you know? He did have some Dunedain Rangers after all. Going to be very useful against a faction like Misty, which has large blocks of troops. Even with the heavy armor, well, for most units anyway, the heavy goblin spears have I think 8 or 9 shield value, but the rest of these guys, like the heavy goblin halberds, for example, they're going to be easy prey for the rangers, and the goblin infantry as well. They don't have a great shield value. They have okay armor, but yeah, the rangers could be particularly effective against them. In addition, well, let's see what's going on here. We got a fight. I think we might have a fight going on. Oh, I sure hope so. Well, let's see. The dwarves are actually moving forward, trying to catch the elves out of position, and they are very much out of position in a bit of a marching column right now. If the dwarves were to jump down on them, well, that would be not great for them. But of course, the dwarves are a little bit slower, so that sort of maneuver is not going to be an easy one. Looks like the dwarves have actually taken position on either side of the hill here. Really smart use of terrain, using the barrows here, which I believe are impassable to most units. And locking it down with the unit here of Warriors of Khazad-dûm backed up with some more cutters, and does offer them some potential for flanking and another avenue of attack. They could potentially sally out from around the hill here and take the Mirkwood flank at unawares, which, depending on circumstances, could be a pretty important thing indeed. Mirkwood moving forward with the Iar Arbanan Inanweth. This is their general's bodyguard. And looks like they want to get a piece of those Orc Hunters of Khazad-dûm, who are actually showering their forces right now, getting a decent amount of kills. A lot of Megil and Thandrim Erin lying dead on the ground. Orc Hunters of Khazad-dûm are going to be driven back, but Fristjuice was wise enough to keep a unit of 4th Legion in reserve as well. And it looks like the Yarbanan are going to be spooked off by that unit of heavy spears, this is a good idea. This is, you don't want to, just because you came all the way over here doesn't mean you have to die, basically. So pulling these guys back is a wise and prudent decision on the part of DF Leicester. Looks like he might be trying to keep the Orc Hunters, the Khazad-dûm player on his toes, swinging his Yarban and Nanwaith around and going after the Orc Hunters, trying to keep maybe trying to catch Fristjuice unaware, but it looks like Fristjuice is going to see it coming. He's going to fall back with his Orc Hunters of Khazad-dûm. And now there's a couple of units of Axe Throwers over here as well, so definitely those Yarban and Nanwaith don't want to chase these guys, because that could be very, very deadly. But it seems like they are. Oh, if they get too much closer, they are going to get... Oh, this is bad. This is very bad. I don't know if he saw it, or he might be trying to go up and around, but oh, this is really going to hurt him. And he's going to try to escape, but this is where the throwing axes are going to come in, and they're going to have a wonderful shot into the rear of this unit. This definitely wasn't worth it. This was a big mistake, I think, on the part of DF Leicester. I mean, maybe he killed a few Orc Hunters and some Warriors of Khazad-dûm, but he did lose quite a lot of... lost 3 of his men from the General's Bodyguard unit, and probably some HP as well. So yeah, I probably wouldn't have made that trade. Let's see what's going on over here. Both sides have now formed up, the elves facing down the orcs. Very classic matchup here. Or rather, the humans facing down the orcs. Still, a classic matchup. Everyone hates the orcs. Orcs putting a lot of fire into the Minas Tirith Sharpshooters and the Minotaur Roman Guardians. And there's some wargs nearby as well. So Looks like Kuro is quickly shifting some of his cavalry over there, but the Wargs definitely have an opportunity here to maybe get a strike of opportunity against the Minotaur Roman Guardians and the Minas Griffin Sharpshooters. To be fair, the Minotaur Roman Guardians do use halberds, so they do have a strong anti-cavalry bonus, but it looks like instead Krantis is going to be moving forward with a unit of Goblin Infantry to try and disrupt these guys. But the Tharbad Riders are going to be on top of it, and if they get a charge into that heavy Goblin Infantry, ooh, that's going to be bye-bye to the unit. So, you know, this is really unfortunate because there was an opportunity here both to catch some of these sharpshooters out in the open, but also to take down a unit of cavalry. Now, if he'd used these Goblin Infantry as bait to try and bait out some of the Tharbad, or just the Cardinal cavalry in general, he could have used his wargs. He also could have used them at the last second, but yeah, Krantis unfortunately a little bit slow on the uptake there, and yeah, he's gonna miss an opportunity. He is now going to shadow the Warg Riders, but of course there are crossbows nearby that could really be a big problem there. So if Kuro is willing to kind of dance around his missile units a little bit here and bring them towards his skirmishers, well, yeah, it's going to work out pretty nicely for him. You can already see some shots being poured into the Warg Riders, and Krantis might just be walking in to a bit of an ambush here. With some fire from the rear going into the mercenary cavalry, but they're going to get caught out ultimately by the wargs. That's another company of mercenary cavalry going to moving in there as well. Warg Riders versus mercenary cavalry, it's a pretty even fight, although I would normally give it to the wargs, but I think the mercenary cavalry have a bit of a hill advantage here, which is going to assist them quite nicely. Wargs are looking like they're pushing right through, however. Up here where they're on more even ground, the wargs managed to get the better of the mercenary cav, and now they've pushed themselves into the Minas Griffin Sharpshooters. And this heavy commitment is actually going to precipitate a general charge from the part of the Orcish faction. So Alexa and her ally Krantis moving forward here. Cave Trolls charging their way into the Green Watch Garrison Footmen, really being used to good effect here. This is what this kind of unit is for. They have really high mass and can be useful for opening up breaches, but they need support. And hopefully Alexa and her ally are going to be able to arrive in time to make sure that these trolls don't just get themselves isolated and destroyed. But we're going to slow it down tremendously. I want to take a look at what's going on over here. It looks like both sides have just kind of set themselves up for a bit of skirmishing. Theony Tower moving up alongside the Forlorn Archers, and they're skirmishing with the Orc Hunters, and they actually managed to drive them back quite nicely, and that's going to leave the Elves in control of this little choke point. And this could turn around well, to the Dwarves' detriment. Now they're going to have to really commit over here to make sure that the Elves don't effect a breakthrough and manage to get in behind their formation once this line battle starts. But let's get back on over to here. I know you guys are really interested in watching this. Let's pop it up 7 times. Gondor Infantry following in the gap made by the Cave Trolls, engaging the front line of Green Watch Garrison Footmen. Oh no, sorry, the Gondorians are on the side of the Garrison Footmen. That's my bad. They're actually facing down the Uruk-hai Infantry, who are in support of the Cave Trolls. Nice little cavalry breakthrough here on the part of the Gondorians, charging their way into some of the Uruk-hai Raiders. There's actually a company out here of Green Watch Garrison Footmen under Kuro that's a little bit farther forward from the line, and definitely in danger of being surrounded, but it looks like the Gondorians might be moving in to try and prevent this from happening, or maybe Kuro is just going to fall back and see the Dunai Rangers getting themselves back behind the lines. A little bit of routing here. I think I saw some Minas Garithlan units running for the lives. Yep, Minas Garithlan Sharpshooters on this end got themselves caught out. But in the center, really both sides are just kind of trading blows. Goblin Infantry moving in to the support of the Uruk-hai Infantry, who are doing very well against Gondor Infantry. This is an easy fight for the Uruk-hai Infantry. They're definitely much more expensive than the Gondorians and a bit of a tier above them. Uruk-hai Pikemen now moving in. They're going to get the better of the Green Watch Garrison Footmen, so it's going to be up to Kuro now to commit to try and plug this gap. Minas Garithlan Swords are moving in, but again, they are no match for the Uruk-hai Infantry. I think it's going to come down to the Tharbad Warhammers on this end pretty quickly. But over here, the Gondor Infantry seems to be rolling back the infantry line, and that's just, I think, because of a little bit of repositioning here on the part of Alexa. But let's see what's going on over on this end. Goblin Spears playing ball with the Green Watch Garrison Footmen, but they're going to get themselves absolutely massacred here, especially with the Minotaur Roman Guardians and the Minas Garithlan Sharpshooters nearby. What have we got over here? Tharbad Riders getting charged down by the Warg Riders of Krantis. Ooh, that's really ugly. Kuro had a lot of this cavalry behind the lines, and the Tharbad Riders are especially deadly on the charge. That would have been a really nice thing for him to have. But it looks like another company of Warg Riders coming in. Second company of Krantis really wants to destroy these Starbad Riders. That's going to leave Kuro with not a lot of Lancer options, unfortunately. Heat Alexa moving in now with some of her Warg Riders. Yeah, Kuro's cavalry is in a lot of trouble here. Starbad Riders trying to get themselves out of there, but they have almost been completely destroyed. I think we might start to see a rout here, and indeed they do break. Mercenary Cavalry moving in behind the Heavy Goblin Spears, moving into the support of the Citadel Guard, who are going to have no problem against Heavy Goblin Archers. I would expect the Citadel Guard to win that 9 times out of 10. Especially with this support here, and that's going to rout some of those Heavy Goblin Archers almost immediately, and the other company there is going to take a lot of damage as well. And mostly it's because they got charged from behind. So it's going to go right to their armor save, and yeah, the Mercenary Cavalry, despite not being Lancers, are going to be able to do a fair amount of damage. Moving back over to the center, it seems like Kuro, with the aid of Gondor and their Citadel Fountain Guards, are going to be able to bottle up this breakthrough here. Misty Mountains and Isengard really doing their best to try and push their way through, but the Uruk-hai Pikemen against Starbad Riders and against his AP Spears, that's going to be pretty tough. Dune 9 Captains moving in as well, trying to stabilize the situation. They do inspire units around them, so it's going to be a big thing for the Garrison Footmen and for the Gondorians, who are really not winning their fight over on Kuro Goro-chan's team's right wing. Minas Tirith Swordsmen fighting hard against the Black Uruks of the Mountains, but it looks like Isengard is probably going to be able to get their way through here. Though, look at this. Citadel Guard, I think there was some friendly fire going on here by those Rangers, which really did a lot of damage. But, yeah, the Dune 9 Rangers just firing indiscriminately into the Black Uruks of the Mountain and the Heavy Goblin Spears. They're going to rack up a ton of kills that way. And we got over here some Champions of the White Hands. Now, this is going to be a big problem. Those Dune 9 Rangers, their days are numbered. They're maybe able to get one more volley off before some of this cavalry in the back here is going to have to be committed if this unit is going to be saved. Ooh, big breakthrough there. Some of the Gondor infantry beginning to rout. This is a big, big thing for Heat Alexa's team. Champions of the White Hand now bearing down on those Dune 9 Rangers. A little bit of support here from the Black Uruks of the Mountain. That's going to be a big deal. Rangers going to get charged in the rear. A few of them are going to die. But some cavalry is going to move in to try and support them. The Lancers going after those guys, and they're going to charge headlong into the Black Uruks of the Mountain. Get a decent charge there. And those Black Uruks are going to be left unsupported, unfortunately. I think now is a good time to commit those Champions of the White Hand. They would do perfectly fine against the Gandalf's retinue bodyguards. And, yeah, some support is definitely needed there. And the Uruk-hai Archers can, of course, move in and deal with the Dune 9 Rangers at their leisure. Dune 9 Rangers and Ranger units in general are made of paper. They are very strong offensively, but it is quite easy to kill them, especially with cheaper bow units and just sheer volume of fire. Some Heavy Goblin Spears moving in now alongside the Champions of the White Hand. He, like I said, has chosen a decent moment to commit that General's Bodyguard. I think this is the bodyguard unit for Alexis, but I think it's also Heat Alexa's bodyguard unit as well. So maybe that's why she was a little bit more cautious with the Champions of the White Hand than what she would normally be, just because if she loses that general, her team, of course, loses the fight. Let's pop over to the other side of things just for a quick moment, and it seems like there's been a lot of skirmishing, but so far nothing really concrete has happened. Just wanted to keep an eye on what was happening over there. But let's pop back on over to this fight. Let's see here. Gondor Infantry fighting against the Heavy Goblin Archer. Says victory is certain, but honestly, the Gondor Infantry is going to win that pretty handily. Minas Tirith Swordsmen in the center, fighting against the combined might of Isengard Pikemen and the Black Uruks of the Mountain. This is going to be a pretty tough fight here. Although backed up with Fountain Guard, I think they have a really good chance at surviving. Garrison Footmen really holding the Uruk-hai Infantry at bay, and they need to, because the center is very, very weak. If that were to break, I mean, it would be a really big problem. Champions of the White Hand just running amok in the back lines, silencing some of the Gondorian archers. Black Uruks of the Mountain, backed up with some Goblin Spears, really pushing hard at the Gondorian back lines. Now, they don't want to commit necessarily to flanking these guys immediately, because there are reserves, and of course there are some cavalry as well. And of course you don't want to turn your back to the Dune 9 Rangers, so they're going to have to kind of stand and fight for the time being. Athenian Rangers over there as well. It's going to be a big problem. What we got here? Gandalf Retinue Bodyguard trying to collapse the flank here, where the Uruk-hai Raiders are, with the help of the Spear Bane Guard, or the, maybe it's just Spear Guard. Yeah, the Half-Orc Spear Guard, are really putting the hurt on Kuro Goro-chan's right wing. Just a furious fight here, trying to gain control of this flank. Both sides trying to hold on to the gains that they've made. Heavy Goblin Spears in danger of routing, fighting against the Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard. Nimlothian Honor Guard moving in. That's going to be an easy fight for the Nimlothian Honor Guard. Looks like they've managed to rout the Black Heroics of the mountain. Some Gondor infantry now reforming, and it seems like Crow's team is going to be able to regain control of their right wing. See how things are going in the center. Not great. I mean, there is a danger of routing. Some of these Goblin infantry are very much on the verge of beginning to waver. Although the Arthedain forces at the same time are being heavily thinned out by the Uruk-hai infantry. Let's see what we got here. Veterans of Osgiliath moving in to try and stabilize the situation. These guys are an Inspire unit, and alongside the Fountain Guard, they're going to make a basically unbreakable line of men in steel. It's going to be hard for the Orc team to penetrate. Now, it seems like they're really running out of steam at this point. Fountain Guard and some Minas Girthland swordsmen here holding back the Uruk-hai pikemen, but they don't have an overwhelming advantage in numbers anymore. And I think probably a lot of that has to do with maybe some of the Rangers behind the lines focusing fire down into some of the big enemy blobs. Really deadly against Orcish factions. Rangers can be extremely important. Let's see how things are going over here. Some of the Warg Riders have managed to burst through the Cardolan line in amongst the these sharpshooters, and Kuro has to actually pull out his Starbad Warhammers to try and save these guys. Minotaur Roman Guardians fighting against a large mass of Goblin Spears. Now the Goblin Spears are fighting uphill, but I think eventually these Spears with their AP are going to be able to hack their way through the men of Cardolan, especially with that Warg support in the back. Though the Wargs could see some routing here. Hearthguard of Amon-Sul really holding down the line. These guys, I believe, have the Spear Inspire trait because they're kind of like a spear bow hybrid. Warg Riders, unfortunately, were not routed, but as I was saying, yeah, the Hearthguard of Amon-Sul are going to be able to keep all these units in line for quite an extended period of time. Let's see what kind of reserves these forces have. Heavy Goblin Archers still putting fire into the Citadel Guard, who have held up this unit of Goblin Halberds for a very long time. Now, they have managed to push quite far out, but unsupported they will lose, although I think maybe now would be a good time to commit some of the Gondor infantry. And now Isengard and the Misty Mountains starting to run out of steam here. This line battle is starting to turn in favor of the men of the West. Warg Riders now routing, trying to get a nice hammer and anvil charge there against the Veterans of Osgiliath, which was successful, but unfortunately they were routed. Fountain Guard here in the process of losing, however, and this portion of the men of the West line is being crushed. Goblin Spears, as I said, really have run afoul of the Nimlothian Honor Guard, and once these guys move in, they will be able to hold up a lot of these Orcish forces for a very long time, but it's still very much in the balance. Over here, the Gondorians and the forces of Cardolan are winning. The Minotaur Roman Guardians being slowly pushed back, but there are some options here for Cardolan to be able to react to that. The unit of Warg Riders has now come back from routing. It looks like they're going headlong, charging into the Tharbad Warhammers. Though I think the amount of melee defense these guys have is going to be enough to kind of ward off that charge. Now the Warg Riders are trapped in close quarters, and the Tharbad Warhammers are going to excel in that kind of fighting. We got here Champions of the White Hand. Not a lot of cavalry left for the men of the West to really shut these guys down, and that's going to be a big problem. Gondorian archers getting charged down by a combination of heavy goblin archers and some Champions of the White Hand. They will not be able to stand up to that for too much longer, though with the presence of the Nimlothian Honor Guard, they are not in danger of routing for the time being. But still, down to 10 men, not a very deadly unit. Nimlothian Honor Guard moving in to try and turn this Orcish flank, but so far, not so great. But let's pop on over to the other side of things, where it seems like they've slowly begun to move forward on each side. Dagnirim Irchiadin exchanging fire with some of the Ironfoot crossbows. Really just an extended skirmish phase at this point. Not a lot of dead bodies, however, and none of the infantry has really been committed, I think. Although the dwarves have managed to push a bit farther forward here and get the elves away from this small choke point here, and hopefully eliminating any danger of this flank being broken and the elves getting in behind their formation. Let's pop on over to the orcs and the men, see how they're doing. Still very much in the balance. Let's go ahead and let's kick things into full speed. A lot of Orcish infantry over here on the wing. Guards of Orthanc have moved in, consolidated the Kurogorochan's right wing. And now the Nimlothian Honor Guard are very much isolated, and they're going to be getting some charges from the rear by the Champions of the White Hand, and that is going to be devastating. Heat Alexa is going to get out of there as quickly as possible, although some of the orcs or some of the wargs rather, are going to get caught. And those Nimlothian Honor Guard are going to be able to do a lot of damage to them. Guards of Warthank charging in against the Nimlothian Honor Guard. It's just an absolute mess here. No coherence, no formations, just brutal one-on-one fighting. Looks like the Misty Mountains General just got cut down by some of the Dunedain captains. Not sure where they are right now. Another charge from the rear by the Champions of the White Hand. Not quite as effective since there's a lot of intervening kind of friendly units. Falcon Guard being overrun at this point, and I think the fight is going to go to the Orcs. Student of Gondor infantry still very stationary. They could be used to try and support these units over here, but unfortunately they are not. Hearthguard of Amonsul and the Minas Girthland Sharpshooters and all the remains of Cardolan skirmishers putting up a last stand. Looks like maybe Heat Alexa might go for them. It's probably not a bad idea. They're kind of in the middle of a reload cycle right now, so they're not going to be able to turn their attention onto the Champions of the White Hands. They get one more volley off against some of the Uruk-hai pikemen before they are cut down by the Champions of the White Hand. Brutal fight right there. Champions of the White Hand, however, down to 9. A little bit of an alarm going off. Looks like somebody out there is having a bad day. Nimlothian Honor Guard. I can't tell whose general just went down. I think it might have been the Gondorian general, however. And if it was the Gondorian general... Actually, no, that doesn't really matter too much. It's Kuro's general up here that we really want to worry about. The Dunedain captain, so I believe is where the general's bodyguard is hanging out at. And the men have been thoroughly overrun at this point. And this is going to be going to the Orcish team. Still, a solid stand. Oh, maybe this is where the Cardolan General is. This is the Hearthguard who's got the Cardolan General after all. Managed to drive back the Champions of the White Hand, but they are being focus-fired down by some Uruk-hai crossbows now. And it's basically a foregone conclusion at this point. Ooh, Kurogoro-chan trying to get a charge off. Kill some of those Champions of the White Hand. I think one or two of them got pegged there with some friendly fire. 3 of them actually just went down. Kurogoro-chan trying to dodge that charge. Some good maneuvering there on his part, but just delaying the inevitable, really. Heavy Goblin Halberds charging their way in against the Hearthguard of Amonsul. So far, so good for the Orcish team, although they have taken substantial losses trying to break down the Cardolan and the Gondor armies. It is hard to say what could have been done a little bit better, although I think maybe the Lancers, if they had been used against the main line here while the infantry was holding, that would have been a big boon for them. Fountain Guard now broken and routing and charged from the rear by the Heavy Goblin Spears. Well, that's going to be all she wrote. Although I would hardly say that Heat Alexa's army and that of her ally Krantis is intact. They are very, very heavily bruised and battered here from fighting against Gondor and against Cardolan. Let's see where the Cardolan general is. Putting up a last stand somewhere, I'm sure. Kurogoro-chan's trying to run away with them a little bit. Oh yeah, that's the general right there. Maybe trying to be sneaky. Champions of the White Hand still lurking around. I don't think their general is in there. I'm not too sure where Heat Alexa's general is, actually. Let's see. If Heat Alexa's general is in the Champions of the White Hand, however, I mean, we could see a come-from-behind victory. I mean, if Kurogoro-chan can destroy Heat Alexa's general, it doesn't matter that he doesn't have an army left. It's game over. Oh man. Champions of the White Hand just bearing down on the rear of the Hearthguard of Amonsul, who are about to take a big volley to the front. Oh, that's much of the unit that's going to fall there. It's like a little Plague Doctor. Bit of a shout out to a unit that was going to be in the patch, but ultimately was decided against. And I think this is going to be the end of Kurogoro-chan's general. That was very strange. Did you guys see that? General didn't end up dying, but 3 champions of the White Hand did. Very impressive. Urukai crossbows. Gonna try and get a volley off. It's not gonna happen though. Let's see what happens. Is he gonna get executed at close range? And there you have it. Kurogro-chan's General has now fallen to both champions. And Isengard's crossbows and champions of the White Hand. And that's going to be it for Kurogro-chan's team. Well, let's see what's going on over here now. This is where, yeah, you see those 2 admit defeats. This is where Heat Alexa's team's fate is really going to be decided. Now, if the Elves and if one team comes out of this with a significant amount of forces still remaining, not a whole lot that the Orcs can do. They don't have any cavalry left over, or very, very little of it, and they don't have a whole lot of infantry, and very few skirmishers still left as well. Doubtless they've used a lot of their ammunition fighting the Men of the West. So, oh, what do we have here? Axguard of Erebor getting charged down by the Rekhbin Yaman Lank. Mercenary Cavalry of Erebor moving in to try and support these guys, but against the Mercenary Cavalry, these guys can actually win pretty handily. Because they are Spear Cav, and they have really high melee defense, which is one of the things of that makes Mirkwood. They've got a little bit lower armor. Actually, they've got quite low armor. Not as low as Lindon, but still very low. But they've got a little bit higher melee defense to kind of make up for that fact. So, let's see what we got over here. Wardens of Harlandon, another Spear Cav unit, about to get charged down by the Mercenary Cavalry. Let's see if they manage to connect, and they do. CF Josh being very careless there indeed with his Wardens of Harlandon. A lot of them are actually going to fall. About 8 of them. Well, 7 of them. 8. Nope, there we go. 9. Yeah, it's a big loss there, and really good play by Solomon. Ironfoot Spears moving in to consolidate. Rekhbin Yaman Lank charging into the Ironfoot Spears. Not a terrible idea when the unit is on the move. As long as you pull out immediately, they only get their long pike kind of bracing ability while, of course, they are braced. But leaving these Rekhbin Yaman Lank in there for that extended period of time is definitely a big mistake there on the part of DF Leicester. Now is the time to get those guys out of there. Now, they have great melee defense, but they're not going to be able to stand up indefinitely against the Ironfoot Spears, especially when they're closing kind of their jaws on them right here. Nice envelopment, but ultimately a big mistake on the part of DF Leicester. I have to say, he's been a little bit careless with his cavalry, and that's a big advantage that they have over the dwarves, so it's not something that you want to just throw away. The Rekhbin Yaman Lank are particularly interesting as a Spear Cavalry unit because they don't have a secondary weapon, so they are able to have that AP charge. Wardens of Harlandon again getting caught out by the Mercenary Cavalry. Solomon is just really on point with this Cavalry micro today, whereas the Elven players they seem to be getting circles run around them, which is a little bit strange. Mercenary Cavalry ultimately getting routed, but still a lot of damage done to that unit of Wardens of Harlandon. A lot of dead Rekhbin Yaman Lank over here as well. Definitely not worth it. That's like half the unit right there that was remaining that got cut down. And so with the demise of those Mercenary Cavalrymen, the dwarves are going to begin to fall back and reform the line. The Rekhbin Yaman Lank are eager to capitalize on this. Maybe going to try and go for a rear charge or something like that. Let's see what they do. Scooting around the line now. Looks like, they're going to be joined by some Dagny Army. I think it's something like that. It's like Orc Slayers. Yeah, something like that. And they're going to be joined by a unit of Yar Branani Nanweth. They're now going to be in behind the Dwarven lines, which is a bit of an issue. I don't think the Dwarves have any other cavalry nearby. Now they have actually sallied out from the hills, and they're getting ready to launch an attack here on Mirkwood's right wing. And Mirkwood's, well, let's see what they got. 3rd Legion against the Hirialth. I would give that to the Hirialth just because they have quite high melee defense. But the 3rd Legion also have really high attack as well. So if these guys have had their attack upgraded, well, they'll do actually reasonably well against the Hirialth. And Hirialth are much more expensive and a little bit lower in number as well. So this is going to be an interesting fight. Some Thyrni Tower here. Out of ammunition, they're going to be able to break up that charge. And what do we got? Some Out of Diodith Yaman Lank. And they're AP. Very, very deadly with pretty high melee defense as well. A little bit lower armor. A little bit higher than the Hiranek units, who sit at about 6. These guys have 7. But they are quite expensive as well. And they're not going to get their charge bonus off. Actually, they're going to be charged down by a unit of Warriors of Khazad-dûm. Warriors of Khazad-dûm aren't going to win this fight, but getting that charge bonus off is a nice thing for them, and it also denies that extra damage to the Outer Diodith Yaman Lank. Dwarves launching a vicious assault here on the Elven right wing. Gonna follow it up with some Sons of the Fallen, some Guards of Khazad-dûm, and this is gonna be a tough fight here for the Elves. And this one unit of Warriors of Khazad-dûm definitely finding themselves overmatched here. Some Hedra Mieran moving in with some Hirnek to support the outer deer of the Thiaman Lank. Another company of Warriors of Khazad-dûm coming in to try and envelop this blob. Good move here on the part of Frischjuice. Over in the center, 4th Legion slowly advancing in shield wall formation. Harlan Infantry moving forward. They're going to have a field day against the 4th Legion. Harlan Infantry have quite high melee defense indeed. And the Dwarves of Khazad-dûm have really gone all in on this assault. Still some Orc Hunters in the back, though it looks like a fair amount of them have been routed. Surprising. A little bit of support here in the form of another company of Orc Hunters of Khazad-dûm, and of course there's still the Axor still to come. Khazad-dûm Reclaimers, and of course a couple units of Ironfoot Axor, so this could be a big problem for the Elves. Although in the center, the Dwarves are very thin on the ground. They don't have, I think, nearly the amount of infantry that they need here, but Erebor is moving forward and hoping to try and support their ally. And this does leave the Lindon left wing open. There's a lot of forces that have been concentrated in the center, not quite as many over on their left wing. And they don't have any javelins or things like that, so this could be a bit of a problem. Although the spears here, not a great target for units like Wardens of Harlandon and Noldoran Horse Lords, but the Noldoran Horse Lords would do very well to, pardon me guys, try and exploit some of these gaps, try and get in here and thin out the Axe Guard of Erebor. There's really no cavalry left nearby, so there's no reason not to be offensive with the Noldoran Horse Lords who have a really devastating AP charge. Now over here, the Lindon line is actually getting flanked on their left. CF Josh is going to move in with another company of Harlan Infantry, and he's got some Forlindon Pikes nearby to receive the charge from the Ironfoot Spears. Noldoran Horse Lords and some of the other cavalry as well, scooting their way around the Ironfoot Spears, but unfortunately, ooh, almost disastrous there, where the Orc player, some Orc Hunters of Khazad-dûm look like, I think they're out of ammunition. Yes, they are. They might have come back from routing, but yeah, they're in a good position here to support these Ironfoot Spears with a little bit of extra numbers. Ironfoot Crossbows getting charged down by the Wardens of Harlandon, but they're being supported by some Axe Guard of Erebor, so they're going to be enough to drive those guys off. And what do we got here? More Elven Cavalry coming in. Restben Yaman Lank coming to the rescue against some of the Ironfoot Crossbowmen. Rest of the Dwarven Reserves just kind of sitting around. I think they all need to be moving forward at the same time. A little bit of a micro error there on the part of the Dwarven player. 1st Legion Pikes. Ooh, please don't charge those Restben Yaman Lank into them. Noldoran Horse Lords charging down the Ironfoot Crossbows. Not a bad target at all. Not Axe Guard of Erebor, but Erebor Legionaries hot on their heels, getting a rear charge. Those Noldoran Horse Lords are going to want to keep themselves moving. There's another unit of Erebor Legionaries coming in as well. Yeah, the cavalry micro on the part of Lindon has the Elven players in general has really been lacking, allowing this unit. This unit has had so much time to get out of there, and now they're about to be surrounded. Very, very foolish on the part of the Elven players there to allow that to happen. Reshben Yaman Lank doing their thing. Oh, God, the Noldoran Horse Lords actually broke and then ran into 1st Legion Pikes. And, yeah, that's what happens. You have to pay attention to your cavalry units, otherwise it is very possible that they will die. So, yeah, as unfortunate as that is for the Lindon player, how's it going to happen? You didn't pay attention, and, yeah, bad things happen. Anyway, moving on to the infantry fight. Dwarves seem to be doing okay, although they are being kind of outflanked a little bit. Sons of the Fallen running into a bit of a problem here with this combination of Harlan Infantry and Forlindon Pikes, both of which are very high damage. Noldoran Swordmasters have been instrumental in winning this fight here. The 2nd Legion just getting themselves hacked down on all ends, so the Elven Infantry is kind of pulling the fight back a little bit here. Shield Guard flanking the Hirnek. Over here, Dwarves of Khazad-dûm doing their best. There's a lot of Elven Infantry here and a lot of really high melee defense. Here, the Althar are ultimately going to lose against the Guards of Khazad-dûm. And with the Reclaimers of Khazad-dûm here throwing their payload, I think into some of the Elven Infantry. It might be the Hethali Tower, which probably isn't the greatest thing. I would definitely throw it into the Hiri Alth. They're a bigger threat. Which, actually, they are doing. All this Hiri Alth getting cut down there. Very deadly. And I think there's still... Oh, what do you know? These guys got charged down. Nice play there on the part of the Elven Cavalry. Orc Hunters of Khazad-dûm getting charged in the rear by the Dagny Army. Yara Brani Nanwaith doing their thing. Killed a lot of the skirmish units here from the dwarves, and these reserves are just kind of sitting around. Very unfortunate. Asgard of Erebor, Erebor Legionaries, and the Highborn of Erebor would be a useful thing to have on the front line right now. Another company of Legionaries moving in. Ironfoot Spears really managing to crack this elven line, and now Lindon is in some serious danger of routing. Although there is a cavalry unit nearby that could potentially change that. I want to keep these crossbow units intact, though. It looks like the elven bodyguard is having a bit of a fit there, not managing to get their charge off into the Ironfoot crossbows. What we got over here? Some more Hethely Tower. Some X units that I think chased down some orcs, or not some orcs, some orc hunters of Khazad-dûm. Killed them. Now they're going to be able to move back and lend a little bit of support to the flagging elven line. Ironfoot Spear Guards here, we're winning that fight against the Mython Swordmasters until the addition of some Harlandon Guard here on their flank is going to allow them a very, very strong envelopment, them being the elves. In the center, the dwarves, they're doing real well. First Legion Pikes kicking a lot of butt. They managed to break through the elven center, but now the elves are managing to flank around. This could be a problem. Harlandon Guard actually still have some infantry, or some ammunition left. They're going to be able to fire into the rear of the dwarven positions. Looks like the dwarven general just went down, and a big charge from the Yara Branani Nanwaith, and I think that was Solomon's general, so I think the dwarves actually have to give up at this point, which is very unfortunate. Unless they're not going to.
The enemy are badly bloodied. They have lost half their men.
I'm pretty sure that was the Erebor general. I think they are supposed to give up at this point. What do we got here? There's some Bolgs champions as well. Just got routed. I think they were charging in there as well. And now that, yes, there you go. The dwarves are going to have to admit defeat since their general was destroyed. Very unfortunate. Should have played that a little bit closer to the chest there, I think, Solomon should have. Bringing his reserve companies in with the rest of his units so they could all support each other and support each other with morale and potentially with some of the spears as well to keep that cavalry out of his general's bodyguard. So sad for the dwarves, but yeah, timely intervention there I think on the part of the orcish factions. Now the elves are pretty heavily reduced, but I think they definitely still have more infantry left than the orcs. So this might be an elven victory. Half-Orc Spear Guards. Let's see what they've got left over. Some Uruk-hai Raiders, Goblin Spears, all of which are exhausted. Yeah, I don't think this is a winning situation for Hedalexa's team. Some more Goblin Infantry, Heavy Goblin Halberds. These guys are just walking in there already like, nah, I want to go home. Let's see what we got. Yeah, the dwarves just in full retreat. Still a fair amount of them, too. Very tragic. The loss of their general. Let's go ahead, fast forward things just a little bit. What just happened? It seems like the elven players have had to admit defeat. I think their general died. I think CF Josh's general went down. So the elven players have also had to admit defeat, which is a little bit strange. I don't think I saw their general go down. Well, that's a very strange battle indeed. Not what I expected. And now, yeah, once the orcs arrive here, it looks like the elves are going to have to flee. So that is going to be a surprising victory for Hedalexa and her ally Krantis. Weird. I didn't see the elven general die, but maybe Hedalexa used her remaining cavalry to try and assassinate him, which is a very sneaky way to gain victory indeed. But it was really the only option I think left to the orcish forces. So yeah, a bit of a strange battle, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I mean, we can't always just do the fight to the finish sort of thing, and I think this is a really cool set of rules that I might want to play with a little bit more in the future. So if you guys like this format, let me know, and we'll definitely make a comeback on the channel. But in any case, my name is Jordan, also known as JMonster. Hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye!